So here's the video where I don't talk about Devin Booker scoring 70 points. Instead, we're going to talk about Blake Griffin, because there was a recent report that he would leave the Lakers, or excuse me, the Clippers, although there's some foreshadowing for you, because it just hasn't been going well for a while, man. He's got an early termination option, which I have no idea what that means. Apparently it's different from a player option in some way. So he could leave the Clippers this offseason, and there are two teams that I've heard in the report, and I'm going to act like I'm not telling you who they are yet, even though you saw them in the thumbnail and they're also the title to the video, but I'm going to build up some more suspense anyway. We can talk about Blake Griffin, the player. Perhaps my favorite aspect of his game is his passing, as he's up to about 5 assists per game this season, even if Doc Rivers still doesn't use the guy perfectly, in my opinion at least. I think Blake can be a huge piece of an offense just for that, and then he has the really awkward post game, which I'm sure makes Hakeem Olajuwon just roll over in his sleep, or Hakeem doesn't give a crap. It's one of those two. But Blake is still an effective inside scorer nonetheless. 27 years old, going to be 28 next season. I mean, if this guy went on the open market, I imagine quite a few teams would be willing to take the guy on, and one of those teams, reportedly, is the Boston Celtics. So we can talk about how Blake would fit here. He's number 11 because there's some number that's retired. The Celtics have retired every number between 1 and 99 anyway. So, if Blake was on this Celtics team, I think immediately what stands out is how he would fit next to Al Horford. And I'm going to talk about these two for the next 12 minutes. Horford, as well as Griffin, are two skilled big guys who can do multiple things well. And I think immediately screening for Griffin and then having Horford space on the floor can be really good, because you could have shooters all around that, given that Horford has been a really good mid-range shooter throughout his career. His three-pointer goes up and down. Sometimes I think he just flat out forgets how to shoot threes, but when he makes them, it's great. But we should also talk about Horford's passing, because he's also up to 5 assists a game this season, with the way Brad Stevens and the crew are using him. Having two big guys like this who are just really, really solid passers could just keep the ball moving and gives you a lot of versatility on offense, which I'm sure is something I say a million times a day, but it's still a damn good thing. And I also think Blake could get a lot of opportunities from Horford when it comes to cutting to the rim or getting open along the perimeter. I mean, we see Blake and DeAndre have some good moments together. I'm sure Blake and Horford could be even better just because both of them are able to pass, even if Horford can't do what DeAndre does on defense, of course. And then Griffin's ability to hit the mid-range jumper. And then, of course, Griffin, what he would bring to the Celtics in terms of athleticism and transition, all that's awesome. And I think it'd be cool if you could force the defense to defend Isaiah, Horford, and Griffin all at the same time, because Horford, of course, can be a floor spacer. You have Griffin rolling to the rim, and then Isaiah Thomas is still Isaiah Thomas. We're also nearly halfway through this thing, so I'll talk about how Jay Crowder's Instagram comment on Devin Booker's thing, and then Devin Booker's reply was really funny. We have to talk about the Celtics more. Also, when Blake is in the game, I think he could be in there with the second unit, or just with Isaiah and Horford not in the game, and then he could still be the main dude for the offense, passing the ball around everybody along the perimeter when he's in the high post. And then we have to assume that he would just make the Celtics a day better when it comes to rebounding, because, well, they suck when it comes to the boards. And that's the one fear that you can have with this team. The other question is just going to be, how good is he going to be on defense? Brad Stevens has been yelling at them all season to be more consistent on that side of the floor. If he yelled at Blake enough, would he actually do it? I don't know. Also, I don't know if Brad Stevens actually yells. I feel like he just sternly talks to you, and then you feel really disappointed in yourself. That's kind of the vibe I get from him, rather than Popovich, who just yells at you straight to your face. So yeah, I mean, I think Blake offensively could fit into what they do really well. Hopefully he just shows up defensively. He has never been a great defensive player, which is kind of disappointing given his athleticism. I don't expect him to get a million blocks a game, but at least to be able to move his feet along the floor well. And even though he's going to run like a really goofy person to the rim on this play, he on the Celtics would be good. And then the other one is the Lakers. And I think the Lake Show acquiring Griffin would be a bit of a different situation than if he was on the Celtics. I think if he went to the Lakers, it would be because he just wants to be as big of a name as possible. I would imagine his scoring totals would jump up to maybe plus 25 points a game on these guys. And given that Magic Johnson just took over the team, maybe he would want to acquire a guy like Blake, given that this will be like probably the last year that they would want to be a bad team to get a draft pick. After this season, you might just want to go, all right, we have to try to start being a winning team now. And if the reports are true about Blake really considering the Lakers, I mean, the Lakers are all about star players. Given that none of the young guys on their team right now seem like they're going to be top tier talent in the NBA, even if they're still going to be good, I can see the rationale for going for Blake. And I guess Griffin's reason for going here would simply be just wants to be a bigger star, which I have no idea what Blake's prerogative is in the NBA, whether it's money, star power, winning, I don't know. There's also all the young guys in this Lakers team, and there's a lot of them. Jordan Clarkson, Zubats, I think that's his last name, D'Angelo Russell, Julius Randle, Brandon Ingram, there's a whole lot of them, and I like pretty much all of them. I don't love any of them. Maybe the high pick that they have this season, if they get their pick, will draw in another big name or, a young star who you can be excited about. There's just a whole lot of young guys, and I don't know if Blake would want to be a part of that, but there are reports out there from people within the NBA who have way more connections than I do that say could be a real thing, Blake Griffin ending up in Los Angeles, even though he's already in Los Angeles, but you get what I'm saying. Now, personally, I would love to see him sign with the Oklahoma City Thunder, because he and Russell Westbrook together could be really good for obvious reasons. He also went to college in Oklahoma. However, there is one problem with that. Well, there's multiple problems with it. OKC has a lot of money committed, and they would have to look to dump Enes Kanter's salary as well as a couple of other guys. Might be too big of a risk, but if you think you have a real chance at Blake, then I guess you go for it. But I don't know, Blake's free agency is interesting because the Clippers have always been pretty damn good, but not good enough to be real contenders in the Western Conference, and I don't think they're contenders this year either. That would put Golden State and San Antonio and probably the Rockets above them. Maybe Blake sees the same thing. Maybe he disagrees and think they still have a chance. I don't know, but the free agency reports are already beginning, and well, there you are.